we're going to move on to the January window as a whole. Then we've kind of covered it in our Twitter Spaces that we've all done as a four of us, but it'd be nice to sit here just us as a four this afternoon to round off what has been an extraordinary window. 10 new signings, pretty much a whole new team, but a whole new team full of quality and match winners fully in there. How would you sum up, Luke, the January window as a whole?
If you'd have said, it's all really good when you get a new owner and they're turning around and promising you X, Y, and Z, but it's different to having an owner that's actually going to deliver to what they say. So if you'd have said, kind of New Year's Eve, that as of the next 31 days, you're going to see 10 new faces in, of which 6 of them are first team. 6 of them are first team quality players with a look to the future with Coleman and amongst others. You'd have been incredible. Yeah, we weren't expecting that, was we? I was expecting 5 or 6 to come through, but not into double figures. It's brilliant window.
Owen?
Yeah, it was what we were told. You know, Gallinson was very keen to say it was going to be an aggressive and lucrative transfer window. I think I'm more in the same sort of mind view as Luke. I didn't think it'd be 10. I thought we'd be looking at 4, 5 or 6 potentially, because January windows you're not really used to bringing in a whole influx of, more or less, if you look at it in just terms of numbers, it's a new starting 11, isn't it, bar one. But I think the manner of quality that we brought in is something that's been quite staggering to us, to be honest. If we go back to the game here against Mansfield where Hawkins played and Lapslie tore us apart, someone said to you, we'll sign both of them in a few months. You'd be like, what? Yeah. And to be able to have a vision within the club that can now appeal to those sort of players to want to come here. I know people from other clubs might look at it and think, well, they've got a new investor, they're coming here for the money. So it's not about that. It's about a sign of what this club can be, past glories potentially, how we can bring those back in these players. They hear that, they hear the sales pitch from Neil, and they want to come here. They have a reason to want to be involved. Lapsley's not even getting in the squad at the minute, which goes to show the improvement we've made. Well, so not getting in start 11, rather. It goes to show the improvements we've made in terms of how a quality player like him can't quite get in at the minute. And we've seen with a lot of the players who've come in, just the instant impact they've made. 10 points out of 12, you can't really go wrong with that. And it's players that would get into the vast majority of teams up on the upper echelons of League 2, mostly League 1 as well. And it's a good signifier of if you look at it from the perspective of, well, this is what we've done in January, we've got a whole summer coming up as well, so who knows what can happen there. But it's a sign of the Gallinsons putting the money where the mouth is, so to speak, both figuratively and literally, and saying that we want these things to happen and we're going to make them happen. And we've seen that so far, the impact that the signings have had. Obviously we've got 2 more in. The other day we saw, I think, half an hour of O'Brien or so, and just about 5 or so minutes of Tristan Abrahams, but both players who made a positive impact. And the look to the future as well is important. Obviously with Coleman and Clark, players that I think, unless we're safe with a few games to go, I wouldn't expect to see too much of them this season. Obviously if we are safe with a few games to go, that's the ideal moment where we'd like to see them get some minutes. Obviously Coleman's a bit more further along in terms of general men's football experience, whereas Clark's not played a professional game yet. But how long ago, how many times have we seen us bring players in who aren't going to go straight into the team, but are there for the longer term project, and for us to nurture them and turn into better players? It's just a sign that from how we've gone from just buying in the basements and the bargain area to having a structure of Andy and Kenny, along with Brad and Shannon and Neil, all working together to make this machine work and make it move forward and make it an attractive proposition for the club, for players to come and join the club, which I don't think it really has been for a lot of players in the past. Yeah,
agreed. Too many times have we seen windows in the past that it's always been panic buys, and like you say, Owen, that more often than not we end up buying players that are not ready for that first team, but they end up playing, and they're just they're well off it. It has been an incredible window, and like Luke says, Brad could have easily come in and gone, right, there's the money, go and buy you one. And also credit to Neil Harris as well, because you can have all the budget you want in the world, but you need to know how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. It's been smart, shrewd business by the football club, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There was, sort of almost a feel it was like a summer transfer window, wasn't it? Having 10 players come in, it's almost the feel like, the 1st of February is the first game of the season. It felt like a complete refresh, and I can't believe that in a month we've managed to get some top quality players that have come through. We've not broken the bank from the sounds of it. We've bought reasonably, but we've bought players that are going to give us that Gillingham fighting spirit, which is what we want as fans. My initial reaction, I always say out of 10, it's probably a 9 out of 10 for me. The only thing I think we were missing is just cover as another left back. But apart from that, I think we have had probably, I'll go on record to say this, definitely the best transfer window in Football League 2, but probably in all of the leagues. I think it's probably one of the best transfer windows a team can go through, because we've added so much quality to our team.
Yeah, completely agree. We'll move on to performances of January. We're obviously four unbeaten. We did lose the first game of January, but since then we've been 4 unbeaten. I know obviously yesterday, but the 3 other games in January we've not lost. It's been a near on perfect month, both on and off the pitch, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah, it's like I say, I think Brad and Shannon must be kind of thanking their lucky stars. It's obviously due to their investment and hard work. Like I say, we're bringing in, but you say we have signed 10 players, but the signings of Hess and Kenny Jackett were, they're 2 massive signings that we've forgotten about. We've never even spoken about either. How good they are, especially with the Black Book. And I think obviously Scally's been asked to, he's obviously done quite a bit of work on kind of getting his Black Book out as well. Obviously he's still dotting about. So they've all done extremely well, and we couldn't have asked for the last 4 games. It's been perfect, absolutely perfect.
I will say, actually, again, that is something else that I wanted to say earlier, that I've got to say a big shout out to Paul Scally, because obviously he is helping out behind the scenes as well. He has still got involvement in this club, but what he's doing, he's helping the club, and it's one thing that he's always said he wants to do. He wants to help the club move forward, and I've got to say big shout out to Paul Scally as well.
Yeah, I think in the past month the best thing that I could say is that we've seen differing performances from this Gillingham side, and finding different ways to win and to get results. Obviously the Hartlepool game, bar the period they had in the second half where I hit the post, we largely dominated that game, created chances, could have been more than 2. We scored 2 good goals, we got the win, professional performance. The game against Colchester was a lot more difficult, because I don't think we were particularly great on the day, but I think we had, it reminds me of quite a lot of games this season, where we've played, say like Walsall at home, Swindon at home, where we've not looked too much in trouble in terms of conceding at one end, but we just didn't have anything up the other end to make the difference. Whereas at Colchester we had really 2 chances the whole game. We took both of them, and then we were able to be resolute in the second half. They threw a lot at us, but we didn't really give them much in terms of a clear-cut chance that they may have missed, and it was a backs to the wall performance. Some people might say it's defensive, but you've got to find a way to win games, and that's what we did. It's good to see different sides of the Gillingham performance that show that there are more than one way that we can win games. Obviously last week we did come unstuck in the Swindon game, but you've got to look at it in terms of we could have easily, Gillingham team to the past, conceding that early on, we could have easily gone on and lost that 4 or 5-0, but we got ourselves back into the game immediately, took a 3-1 lead, and look, Leeds, I know it happens a lot with us with 2-goal leads, but when you're playing against a team with the quality of someone like Hepburn Murphy in the wing, Johnny Williams in midfield, and Charlie Austin up front, it can happen. It did happen, and we didn't lose the game, but it has got to be some perspective in terms of just because you're 3-1 up, away from home against anyone doesn't give you the given right to see the game out. You've got to take into consideration the quality of the opponent, and Swindon in the second half did pepper us, and we just come unstuck, unfortunately, but we still went to a top 6 side and managed to get a point. We wouldn't have done that a few months ago. We've been turned over easily away from home by much lesser sides, like the inept performances we saw at Newport, for example, and you compare that to the performance against Swindon, it's night and day. And obviously yesterday, again, for the first half we weren't particularly great. We were much better in the second half, and it was quite refreshing going into 5 minutes of injury time yesterday, with a 1-0 advantage without really feeling as if we're going to concede, because we didn't limit them to many opportunities. And Glenn Morris in the second half, it goes to show how well the centre half midfield did. He didn't really, from my memory, have a save to make. So it's just a massive positive for me seeing this Gillingham side being able to get positive results through different performances, through attacking football and through a bit of grit and determination. That's what you need to be a successful side, for more than one way to win.
The confidence you can see from the players. I went to the Sutton away game, and obviously we lost that 2-1, and you could see the players' heads drop straight away. And against Swindon the other week, we conceded, in the first minute, none of their players' heads dropped. They were all straight back up. Now, come on, boys, we've got this. We're gonna go on. And then 2 minutes later, we're down the other end, and we've got another goal. And then 2 minutes later, we've got another goal. And you could see that it was a completely different Gillingham team to what we saw 20 games ago. It's a team that yes, okay, we didn't walk away with 3 points, but I felt so proud of those boys because say a few weeks ago we would have got absolutely hammered there.
And I think it's obviously the main point of what Harris said, especially in the summer window. It's all about the type of character that he was bringing into the building, and you can tell, especially from. Obviously, we haven't seen the likes of Clark and Coleman as of yet, but the players that have come in and got into the starting 11, they are winners. They are people that have got a strong character, and they're the people that we are Gillingham players, as Neil said.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to do a couple of shout-outs now. If anyone saw on social media over the weekend, our good friend James Crockwell did a 14-hour walk. From Tilbury to Wembley in aid of Bath syndrome, and when I spoke to him yesterday, he'd raised just over £850. Bath syndrome is a charity, basically in aid of children that have sadly passed away due to an enlarged heart, and he said he's had quite a lot of friends of children that have passed away due to that. So well done, James. Great effort. Also, as you can see, we've all got ME7 podcast mugs in front of us. Matt is promoting it perfectly, just like a model, straight in front of the camera. These weren't on offer to buy. These are now on offer to buy. Thank you so much for the people that have purchased them so far. It's just simply a donation to Myeloma UK. A lot of it is a rare form of cancer. Sadly, my father passed away from it in 2021. So wanted to raise some money for that. These are the lovely mugs that we have now got on sale. If you'd like one. Just give us a little message, and we'll get one for you. Let's move on to also another initiative. Our last topic that we're gonna cover this afternoon is Her Game 2. They've obviously done a wonderful initiative at the football club. Brad and Shannon have made it pretty obvious that they would like to bring women's football back into the football club. Paige and Mandy are obviously the Gillingham advocates with Glenn Morris and Jake Turner on board as well. I noticed Neil Harris was wearing the Her Game 2 badge. Matt, you are also wearing the Her Game 2 badge on the blazer this afternoon, so well done you. Luke, we'll start with you about the women's side of things at the football club. It's a fantastic initiative that Her Game 2 are bringing to the football club, but it's really important that the football club do get on board with it, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely, and it's not just kind of supporting, just bringing a women's team back into the fold. It's obviously supporting all the issues that they're trying to bring back in. It's obviously the safety and such forth of women in football and bringing that awareness. So it's great to see that we've got ambassadors actively promoting it throughout the club. Obviously, we see it at Swindon. Paige and Mandy are there with the flag and getting their exposure that way. But it's great to see that the owners are pushing it as well. And I hope to see some kind of events and stuff that they can do within that and get the wider Gillingham audience to understand what they're actually trying to achieve and hopefully bring a women's team back under the fold.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously due to financial reasons, the women's side did get scrapped during COVID, but Brad and Shannon did say in the fans forum that they were extremely keen on bringing it back to Priestfield and doing women's football for the community.
Yeah, obviously it ties into the whole community argument as well. We were saying yesterday about how many little girls would have come to their first game yesterday, and they were well and good watching the men perform. But I'm sure there's nothing better for them, watching say the women's Euros in the summer, seeing and finding new heroes to watch and think I want to be like her, and that's the sort of thing you can get from having women inspirations at a football club, and you have that within a women's football team, and that's something that's perhaps been lacking here for a few years. I'm not entirely sure how it would work in terms of the club that they have at the minute. I don't think it's associated with Gillingham, is it? So I'm not sure what legal proceedings might go into that, but it's not for me to talk about because I'm not an expert in that sense. But it would be great to bring it back. The initiative has been an incredible success since it started from, I think her name was Kaz May, I think the Bristol Rovers supporter who did the video with loads of different women from different supporting clubs. The slideshow that came out, I think would have been a year and a bit ago at this point, and that caught fire almost instantly. And you only need to look at how many advocates there are for each team in the EFL. There's abundance of them. It's something that's become very popular very quickly, and rightly so. It says a lot as well when you're getting players from clubs and representatives from clubs wanting to jump on board with it as well. So credit to Jake and Glenn for that. Obviously Matt, who does Jules and Bud's part of it as well now, and I think there's a couple of the ladies who work here as executives. Forgive me for not knowing their names. Yeah. I think there were the two girls who were doing the
and Megan, isn't it, from the commercial team?
Yeah, they're at the forums, aren't they? So but even so, having so many people from the club involved now is obviously a massive positive. And we spoke to Mandy and Paige on the way to Swindon, and the aim for it is just simple. It's about equality and about bringing women's football on a pedestal that it deserves to be at. And obviously, as I said, the example of the women's Euros, how many little girls might have watched that game without really any interest in football at all, both men and women, and then watch that, seeing the women be so successful and think, I want to be like her. That's a new idol, and that's the sort of spirit it can create when you have something like that here. And hopefully, as I said, I'm not sure how it would work in bringing it back, given it's not connected to the club at the minute, but hopefully that's something that can happen. Obviously Shannon is heavily involved. She's met Paige and Mandy had meetings, so it seems to be something that's going in the right direction. So hopefully we'll see a lot more positive news come out for that.
So we miss out on talent with a certain goal scorer from Bearsted as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Matt, obviously you got the badge on. Just how important is her game to you?
It's really important. Me and my wife, she's not a massive football fan, but I'd love to be able to bring her to games. But normally, a couple of the games that we have been to together, there's not some nice shouting coming from the stands, and it's not always the nicest thing to hear. But to actually make more people aware of the fact that women are coming to games to enjoy football too. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. We're all there for the same thing, to enjoy the actual match that's taking place. And just because you're a different gender to somebody else doesn't mean that they don't know about football. Some of the smartest women that some smartest people I know, so women that know so much about football, it's unbelievable. It's really important that as well, say we talk about these young fans coming through, we don't want these young girls going, it's just about boys kicking the leather around on the pitch. It's not about that. It's about the community. And at the end of the day, these women, that they've got their opinion, when it comes to football, they need to be heard, and that's ultimately what I think her game too is about. It's letting these women have their say.
Okay, that is where we will end the first ever Look Back Live show this afternoon. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining me. If you're interested in sponsoring the next ME7 podcast Look Back Live, just give us a little message, and we'll be interested in working with you. Thank you for watching the 10 points out the last 12. It's not a bad start to the Brad Gallinson era. That train just keeps running on. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.